Hello, this is Application Performance Team Demo, and today we will demo the code suggestions for self-managed instances. Our team was working on bringing code suggestions AI feature for our self-managed customers, and in today's demo, we will cover the workflows necessary for self-managed instance admin and for self-managed user, what they need to configure in order to use the code suggestion feature. So the first step would be the workflow for self-managed instance admin on gitlab.com. So self-managed instance admin will need to create account on gitlab.com. I will skip this step in this demo and just use my own user on gitlab.com. So what needs to happen is that self-managed instance admin, after creating the gitlab.com account, he will need to create a personal access token, and he will also need to enable the code suggestion. We have documented this in our documentation, how to create a personal access token. So I will just show the steps needed to do that on our gitlab.com. So first step would be to log in on your account on gitlab.com and go to preference page and just enable the code suggestions here. So there is code suggestions beta, and you just need to enable the code suggestions. After clicking save, you need to go to access tokens and create one access token. I will just name it code suggestion test. And I will tick API scope and read API scope because those are needed in order to use the code suggestions. So I will just click here and create a personal access token, and that's it. Like, this is the whole workflow for self-managed instance admin on gitlab.com. So the next workflow, it should cover the configuration of the self-managed instance itself. So self-managed admin will need to go to his self-managed instance, log in as admin, and go to admin settings. In admin settings, on the bottom of the page, there is code suggestions segment that you can expand, and here you can turn on the code suggestion for this instance. And by turning this feature, the self-managed instance admin will agree to the GitLab testing agreement. Here is GitLab testing agreement, and he also needs to acknowledge that GitLab will send data from the instance, including personal data, and also that we may also send data to third-party AI providers to provide this feature. Here is also documentation. And we are also providing documentation that I showed earlier for this previous step, how to create your personal access token on gitlab.com. So what I need to do now is just to copy the personal access token that I created in previous step here and click Save Changes. You will see that your application settings are saved successfully, and this means that your instance is ready to use the code suggestions. Your self-managed users are enabled by default to use this, so no additional steps are necessary from them. They just need to configure the Visual Studio code workflow extension, and they're ready to go. So the next workflow that I will cover is from self-managed user perspective. So he will need to install the GitLab workflow extension if he doesn't use it already, and to connect his GitLab account from his self-managed instance to the Visual Studio workflow extension. So let me just show you. I will use my test user. So the only thing needed here is to go to preference page and repeat the step creating your personal access token for your self-managed account. I will again use code suggestions, whatever name And I will still need to tick API and read API scopes in order for this to work. I will create my personal access token, and then I will just switch to Visual Studio Code. Here, you will need to install GitLab Workflow extension. You will need to have at least 3.65 version in order for this to work. So both version 365 and 366 are fine. I will just click install. And you can check in extension settings, you can disable or opt out from any, using code suggestion as a user. So if you don't want to use them, you can just untick them here, but they are enabled by default. Once the GitLab Workflow extension is installed, you will need to actually connect your GitLab account. And by clicking add account, you will need to enter the URL for your own instance. By default, it's gitlab.com. So let's just go and copy the URL. I'm using my local environment, so it's just localhost, but self-managed instance will have its own URL. And I will just copy it here, press enter, and now it says paste your GitLab personal access token that you created. So I'll just go back to my self-managed account and copy the personal access token that I created in previous step and just paste it here. So when I press enter, I successfully added my GitLab account for my test user for self-managed instance. And now I will just need to open GitLab project in order to start using the code suggestions. So I will just open folder because I already have the project here like this. I will use the example project flight. And there is additional step here needed that you just need to check if your flight project is recognized as GitLab project. If it's not, you will need to manually add it here. Now you can see here that GitLab workflow is there and that this is a GitLab project. And you can go and choose any file you want to edit and just go here and add some comment, for example, create function that multiplies two numbers. And here you will get a code suggestions generating the method that you asked, and you can just accept by clicking the button or pressing the tab button. And that's it. You can use code suggestions. So thank you for listening. And please, if you have any questions or suggestions, please contact application performance team. Thank you.